are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. Thursday, December 14th, about halfway through the month here. Moving through the NFL season. We are going into week 15 now. It's crazy. Time is flying, but we're going to be here the entire time. We got a big show here today. Going to start off with Tim's rant, as we normally do this week, on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coaching, Mike Tomlin, little blind resume game I hear is on the horizon. So that should be good. Always a fun time there. We're going to move into hits and misses afterwards to wrap up the first segment. And then we will get into the second with our Week 15 predictions and our Week 15 bets on a budget. All there in the second segment. Looking to rebound a little bit on the bets. Definitely on picks for me. I am thoroughly embarrassed this week.
I mean, first of all, a fat 0 for 5 for you on predictions. Rough. 5-0 for me feels good. Was that our first losing week in bets in like 2 months? I think we had about 7 straight 3-2s, I think.
Yeah.
I think we had a 4-1 and then like 6 straight 3-2s.
We've been going 3-2 since week 8. We went 3-2 week 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then 13 we pushed, so we went 2-2 and
2-1, right?
And then this week 2-3 set us at 54%. So we'll get into bets on a budget there. Hopefully, looking up at the end of the second segment, and then into the third, we will have the news and game of the week to finish the show, as we normally have been this season. But guys, we appreciate you being here no matter how you're joining us, whether you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Prime Video, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and of course the iHeartRadio app. So guys, thank you very much. That is The Issue.
Feels good to be here. December, starting to get cold, not a fan. We haven't done a weather report in a while, so I figured I'd sneak one in there.
Yeah.
Cold, yeah, that's about it. Barren wasteland. So let's get into something here. There's one of the primary reasons I love sports and that a lot of people love sports is that it's fair for the most part, right? You don't prepare to win, you're going to lose. Or you don't work hard in the weight room, you will suffer from it, right? Sports is a place where the outside world kind of pauses, right? The worries of the world, the general rules of society, they kind of alter, they kind of bend, and it's great. It's great. That's why we love sports. It's that visceral, real feeling of winning, losing, victory, defeat. I think it was what's one of those lines, like the pains of defeat and the thrills of victory or something like that, or whatever. Agony of defeat, thrills of victory. That's the idea. That's why we love sports. But with the addition of social media, yes, I'm aware that I'm, was not around much before social media, and I agree that there's benefits to it, but I've also done plenty of research, and I even remember back to the early 2000s sports when there wasn't a ton of social media, right? It wasn't the major boom in social media. It was a little bit different. I understand that perception has never altered real-life sports decisions and outcomes more than it does today. It never was like that before major sports media, before major social media. Outside opinions and pressure matter now more than ever. And I think that's the wrong view, that's the wrong stance to have as sports leagues, franchises, and whatnot. Right? Look at Panthers owner David Tepper. You don't think outside things matter, right? You don't think people saying, CJ Stroud looks pretty good, and you have a small, undersized Bryce Young. Like, maybe we should move off the coach, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But that's exactly what an impatient owner would do, that lets outside perception matter too much. Right? We let outside public opinions and perception drive what we view as reality now more than ever. For example, and I'm guilty of this too, we let draft position affect how we think of a player. I still have doubts about Dak. He's probably going to get MVP votes. Actually, today, if I had a vote, he'd probably be my MVP. I still have doubts about him. Or about Brock Purdy. Right? So I question Brock Purdy, but I mean, in reality, he's one of the most productive quarterbacks in football since he's taken over the starting role. So what we do on this show to combat that is something called the blind resume game, right? Could be players, could be receivers, quarterbacks. We sometimes do it with coaches. So let's do an NFL coaching blind resume Let's break it down into record, playoff record, number of top units, right? So is your number of top 10 units, right? Is your offense or your defense top 10? How many times has that happened in your career? And then division titles. So let's go Coach A, Coach B side by side. So you'll see here, Coach A, winning percentage slightly down, right? Coach B wins a little bit more, but in the playoffs, Coach A wins more. Coach A has more top units, 21 to 16 there. Division titles are equal at 7. So they're fairly equal coaches. Actually, there's an argument that, playoff success, number of top units, negligible difference in winning percentage. There's an argument to take Coach A over Coach B. Well, damn, that's Mike McCarthy is Coach A, and Coach B is Mike Tomlin. There's this perception that, Mike Tomlin's the best. He's a player's coach, and he's that guy. He's got a Super Bowl. Well, so does Mike McCarthy. They both have a Super Bowl. That's why I didn't even put it on there, because they are both won. They have each won a Super Bowl, and actually, Mike McCarthy's beat Mike Tomlin head-to-head in that Super Bowl, if you remember. Right, but this perception of Mike McCarthy is that, he's not the best, he's not really the smartest, and he's not super creative. I'm watching the MVP of the league right now, and they are a real legit Super Bowl contender in Dallas. I'm watching an arguable crumbling franchise in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, that's just the facts. But let's go ahead and get even more recent. The league's a lot different. Let's just go the last 4 years. So Mike McCarthy's been there for 3 full seasons plus this season, right? So this year and the previous 3 seasons. Let's go ahead and look at those numbers because, again, the league has changed a lot. Mike's got a new team. That's more what Mike is now as opposed to including all the Green Bay numbers. Mike McCarthy's 40-23. Tomlin's 37-25-1. Mike McCarthy's 1-2 in the playoffs. Not great. But Tomlin hasn't even won a playoff game in that span. He's 0-2. Each have one division title, locked up. But it looks like Mike McCarthy could be on his way to another one right now. If they win out, which I think they will, and Philly lose another game, which I think they will, they have a division title locked up. I'm not saying Mike McCarthy is head and shoulders better. I'm not even saying he's better, period. But there's this perception that Mike Tomlin is so much better because he's motivating and he has good sound bites and he's got the Tomlinisms. Can't put 12 pounds in a 5-pound bag. Well, no shit, Mike. You know what you can't do? Lose continuously in playoffs. Lose to bad teams at home 2 games in a row. And get embarrassed on your own home turf twice in 4 days. Right? We can sit here and say, Mike McCarthy with the clock. If I put Mike Tomlin in an opportunity at home to play the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs, obviously it would never happen because they're in the NFC, so let's go with the equivalent. How about the Kansas City Chiefs in Pittsburgh? If that even came close in the fourth quarter, it'd be a miracle. The fact that Mike McCarthy was even down to the fact where clock management mattered against the best roster in football is saying a lot more. Mike Tomlin can't even compete. I've actually seen that exact scenario. I've seen Tomlin. Now, granted, it was on the road, but I saw him play the Chiefs in a playoff game. It was embarrassing. Right now, if you gave me a choice, I would take Mike McCarthy over Mike Tomlin. And personally, I don't think it's particularly close. I'm not sure if Tomlin deserves a statue, but I would do a very similar thing that I would do with Bill Belichick in New England. I'd say, Mike, thanks for your services. Maybe you don't get a statue. Here's a plaque, season tickets. You have your own box forever if you want it. Go retire. Go be on TV. You'd be great on TV. We're going to go a different direction. I would personally take Mike McCarthy right now over Mike Tomlin. I don't think it is very close.
Yeah, it always seems that there's a spot on TV for everybody, especially some of those retiring coaches, players, and I think Tomlin needs to be the next one. So there's a lot of things, and I've been thinking about it now for the last 2 weeks. Obviously, right after you watch those kind of games, you start grasping for answers somewhere. There's a couple things that I came across that I wanted to bring up. One being Mike Tomlin has 17 years in the league as a coach. And I think sometimes we get blinded by the fact that he's a winning coach, that he's never had a losing season, right? And people they hear that, and I guess subconsciously in their mind, they just start piecing together, they must be a great coach. I'd like to open your eyes to something. Out of the 17 years that he's been the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have won a playoff game in 4 of those seasons. So out of 4 out of 17 seasons,
they've actually had
won
some
a
sort of
playoff
sustained
game.
success.
Yes, and 2 of those were both playoff runs to the Super Bowl. One where they won, one where they lost.
So without the 2 Super Bowl runs, which,
You have
by the
2
way,
years.
there's an argument that is a coward team led by Tomlin.
Right, so then you have 2
2
years
legitimate years.
out of the 15 if you want to take those.
And
out
I
for
believe the
sample
one
size.
playoff win was Alex Smith on that rough holding call that I actually disagreed with.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
At Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Again, Alex Smith. And then one at home against Matt Moore for the Dolphins.
It's bad.
Those are your 2 playoff wins.
To put it into perspective further,
It's embarrassing.
since the Steelers' last Super Bowl run, or since their last appearance there where they lost to Green Bay, like you just mentioned, they have the same amount of playoff wins as the Pittsburgh Pirates in that time span.
That's just embarrassing.
So there are alarming stats. The whole, he's a winning he's a winning coach. He never had a losing season. I get that, but when has the standard ever been to just have a winning season? Is the standard not winning championships? That's what the standard should be.
What bothers me, too, is he said it. He said me and Kenny, as in quarterbacks and head coaches, are judged off winning. What happens when those start going away? What happens when you now lose to 2 2-win teams in a 4-day stretch?
Yeah, there's big problems.
Yeah.
There's
It's kind of
real
like the
big problems.
Florida State thing where it's like the games have to matter. You're right, the games do matter. I watched the game that mattered in which you averaged 3.5 yards a play.
Yeah.
Right, Tomlin, winning matters. Yes. And I'm watching you lose games you shouldn't. And it's
2
happened every single year
to 2
that you've ever been a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
every year without fail.
it's concerning. It's concerning.
It's terrible.
Anyway, great rant. Let's get into hits and misses.
Hit number 1 here. Your boy, we mentioned it earlier, 5-0 on predictions here for me.
Ugh.
I'm trying to think. So I had the Bengals, you had the Colts. Lord knows why. I mean, Jake Browning is ineffable. It's Jake Browning, Justin Fields. Those are the faces of the league, probably for the future, I would imagine.
Maybe the Jake Browning one, not the Justin Fields one, though.
No, they're both great. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Who else did I have? I had the Bills over the Chiefs.
You had the
I had the
Eagles
Cowboys.
losing, yeah.
Yeah. 2 more. We got to find them.
Do we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's mandatory. Think about it.
Where was I disappointed this week?
Everywhere.
Apparently.
I had the Vikings. You had the Raiders.
That's it.
And then I had the coaching mismatch. You actually put your eggs in the Brandon Staley basket. Broncos over Chargers was ineffable. Now, granted, Herbert got hurt, so.
Okay.
But even if he's healthy, I don't think it matters.
I got screwed over on that one a little bit.
That's happened to me so many times. That's happened to me so many times,
like,
I don't want to hear it.
In the same week for all of them to happen like that, no, it's fine.
Sorry.
The 3-0 game. 3-0. Are we freaking serious?
Could you imagine Aiden O'Connell throwing that pick? That's probably one of the worst throws I've ever seen.
3-0.
Yeah, 3-0.
Yeah,
it was
that's
great.
sick.
All right, miss number 3 here. Both of us, we picked Jordan Love and the Packers. On Monday Night Football, we also had Miami minus the 14. That was a rough Monday night, but I want to focus on that Packers game. Is Tommy DeVito legit? I don't think he's legit, but to see him be significantly better than any Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback that stepped on the field this year is horrifying if you're a Pittsburgh fan.
Did he at least look better than Daniel Jones? I think he does.
He looks better than Daniel Jones. He looks significantly better than Kenny Pickett.
Wow, what
if you asked, okay, and people think I'm
saved.
crazy. We did this with Jake Browning. Who do you want going forward? Do you take Tommy DeVito or Kenny Pickett?
Tommy DeVito's shown more in less time than Kenny Pickett has.
Thank you.
So
for the next season,
it's something to think about.
For the rest of this season and next season, would you take Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett?
Joe Flacco.
Thank you. I would take Joe Flacco too. I think Kenny Pickett is not one of the 32 best quarterbacks in America.
No, there's backups.
I don't think he's
better.
a top 45 quarterback
There
in
are
America.
backups better, for sure.
I would take Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
Would you take Zach Wilson?
Ooh. I think
we saw
Zach
Kenny Pickett against Houston, and we saw Zach Wilson against Houston.
Yeah, but I think Zach Wilson still is.
Would you take Justin Fields or Kenny Pickett? We had this discussion right before this.
Well, Justin Fields.
Okay, yeah.
I think
yes.
I think he's more. He has more to add with his legs. And
that's what I said.
Something.
I said the consistency's not there, but at least we have a quarter. If we had Justin Fields, at least we would have a quarterback capable of doing it.
Well, he would be special
Kenny
at
Pickett
something.
doesn't have NFL talent.
No.
At least Justin Fields has NFL talent.
He's special at something, which is what you need at quarterback in this league. And if
I'd rather
if your legs and being the most athletically gifted quarterback in the league is the thing that you're great at,
yeah,
great.
I'd rather sandpaper greatness than try to manufacture average with a bad quarterback.
Fair.
Yeah. Hit number 2 here. We said that Shohei just feels like a Dodger. He just feels big time.
Like, you did call this one was all you. You called this one.
He's just hidden in with the Angels. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. $700 million over 10 years, although he's only getting $20 million of it over the course of the 10-year contracts. That's $2 million a year while he's playing. And then from 2034 to 2043, he deferred $680 million, and he'll get $75.5 million for those 9 to 10 years. After the life of that contract. That's insane. That is
crazy. And it makes sense, right? We were talking about it. This is like now the biggest brand in baseball most years. So him going there makes a ton of sense. All the money you're going to make on advertising deals and probably be, a top 5 star in that city, which is saying a lot, too, for Los Angeles. You'd be top 5 star.
Yeah. So I haven't looked at, because I don't know if his plans are after that 10-year contract. So he deferred the money. I don't know if his plans to move back home, to maybe move somewhere else in the States. I wonder if he deferred it. I don't know what the tax code is, where he plans to move. I wonder if he'll hurt less on taxes on that deferred money. If he goes back to, he's from Japan, I think. Yeah. If he moves back to Japan, how much the taxes would hurt him there. Because if he takes it all now in LA, dude, he's making less than half of it.
Yeah, but I'd still technically argue that money was made in Los Angeles, so it'll probably still get taxed by that code, even though it's later.
Are you sure?
I think it's based off of where you worked and where you made the money. I don't believe it's where you are when you receive the money.
Maybe the hope is that the taxes lessen up by the time that.
Yeah, but
10 years
it's
down
something
the road.
to look at.
It's just interesting. I have no idea.
I sent you that on I think Instagram. That is a crazy breakdown.
Yeah, if he were to take the $70 million per year, he would only take home 34.5. 34. I think. Yeah. So just under half. That's wild. Miss number 2 here. We said that the Browns were kind of bound to drop off at some point, right? Like, there's no way. Defense is kind of overrated. That they lose Nick Chubb. I like the receivers, although they're not special. Offensive line's good, not great. And they're starting Joe Flacco. It's like, and they just keep winning. Joe Flacco keeps leading them to wins. I don't know. Maybe they will, drop off at some point. But to me, they look like a well-rounded football team. They look firmly in the playoff mix. And Joe Flacco looks like a top, call it 17, 18 quarterback. I think he's closer to 17 or 18. I think he's around 15. But it's plenty good enough to lead the Browns to wins.
Yeah, he does look good. And the thing is, their defense is still strong. Their defense is still scary. Like, that is not a joke of an offense that you went up against in the Jaguars.
No, the Jags can play now. I said with the ankle with Trevor Lawrence, I was a little bit worried. I don't think he was able to push off quite as well. He had a couple throws that just didn't look right. It looked like all arm. That's why they missed. But still.
But I just think overall, when you look at that team is going
the Browns
to compete.
I think they're legit. I would not want to see them in the first round because of what they can do: ball control, run the football, pass rush.
Could easily play spoiler.
Yes, absolutely. Hit number 3 here. I called Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman. I think you were leaning my direction, but you were like, it's kind of up in the air. Yeah. I mean, he broke like 30 records. I mean, he's amazing, and I think the discussion, yes, great that he won the Heisman. I think we should flip this into: should the Steelers look at drafting Jaden Daniels? Their name has been thrown around a lot in terms of him because he was kind of viewed as a second-round pick. He has played his way into the first-round discussion, mid to late first round. Who's always there in the mid to late first round? The Pittsburgh Steelers, right?
Yeah.
Should they look in drafting Jaden Daniels? I would argue yes.
I would say yes. I mean, you need that talent.
Draft somebody, and if Jaden Daniels is there at whatever, so they'll pick like 15th probably. Draft them.
Probably, yeah.
I would draft him tomorrow.
I think it makes sense. Having talent like that would be insane.
Like, it just, again, maybe he's not as consistent. Maybe he's not as,
That's fine.
He seems pretty mature
That's
to me,
fine.
but maybe he's not as mature. Maybe he's not as NFL ready as Kenny Pickett was. I would rather have somebody with the requisite talent. There's talent that you need to succeed at the NFL level. Kenny Pickett doesn't have it.
If this was NFL ready, I'm fine with not having an NFL ready quarterback.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Miss number 3 here. First losing week on bets in 2 months, 7 weeks straight.
Yeah.
We had winning weeks. I think maybe 6 straight, doesn't matter. Anyway, a ton of 3-2, 2-2-1 was our worst week of the last 2 months. This week, that script flipped. We went 3-2. Looking to get back on the horse this week. I like a lot of the lines, so I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, that will, of course, be coming up in the second segment. So, guys, don't go anywhere. When we get back, we will have our Week 15 predictions, our Week 15 bets on a budget. You're not going to want to miss it. We don't have many left, so savor each one. We'll be right back.
Oh, welcome back in. It's The Issue, Thursday the 14th of December. We appreciate you guys stopping in, whether that be YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Got that Spotify Wrapped, what was that, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
We appreciate it. We've seen some growth, and we appreciate all of you guys listening, supporting. Share it with a friend. Send it to a loved one. I was messing kind of with that TikTok, your mom's favorite podcast with your grandma's favorite segment. Share it with your grandma. Maybe she'll like it.
Yeah, why not?
Who knows?
We do great with the 65 plus.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
We
but
don't.
We don't. That's probably our lowest age bracket.
It's like 1%, actually.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Well, because, okay, to be fair, how many 65-year-olds are on social media or on any platform that they would access us?
No, none.
They still have the old AM, FM radio.
Right, and it's always on in
the
their
living
car.
room. Of course, in the car for sure. If you're really up there, they have the old handheld radio,
yeah,
or the old boombox radio from back in the day,
right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That doesn't change. It's a staple all the time. They don't even know what Apple CarPlay is. They just know 93.7 The Fan. Does
your grandma text?
Yes.
Cracks me up.
It's funny. There are
because I feel like there's certain societal regulations that apply to texting, but not to them, just because they don't understand the world of social media, texting, that form, that medium of communication as much.
Yeah, social media not so much. Texting, she kind of nails it.
Does she nail it?
My grandma's on one. Yeah,
she
knows.
Mine is not. She is. It's comical at times.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun.
I've had a couple of.
I'm not going to hold it against her. I'm very aware that she's 70 something and that she's not.
Yeah.
She's not versed in the texting region.
Right.
I understand that, so it's a good laugh.
100% a good laugh.
This show's gone off the rails. I think let's go ahead and get it back on the rails. We have predictions here, followed by bets on a budget, looking to get back into our winning ways. Again, we had a pretty nice winning streak. Let's go ahead and start another one. And let's get into predictions, though, first.
Okay, so this is a big one. We were mentioning it before we started. I feel like we have to talk about it. We're tied.
Again.
7-7 right now. You lead by 7 individual picks, though.
So you have to win. But basically, there's almost no way I lose a 7-game lead in terms of the tiebreaker. There's almost no way.
Right. So I have to win this puppy. I have to put this thing away, because if it comes down to a tie, you win.
Pretty much.
So you either You're sitting pretty right now. The pressure's on me. I'm feeling it on this side. Just went 0-5. Thoroughly embarrassed.
Sorry, you're playing with house money right now, though.
Yeah, so we can only go up from here. 7-7. We're tied. Going into Week 15 NFL predictions. Every pick for every game. Let's go.
All right, well, of course, we always start with that Thursday night game. We go in that chronological order. Big word of the day here. Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Herbert he will be out. Could miss the rest of the season. And at this point, I would advise him to miss the rest of the season.
Yeah.
It's a wash. You're 5-8. There's just even if you win out, you don't control your own destiny. You need other teams to lose, and you're not going to win out anyway. Especially because I'm going to go ahead and pick the Raiders here to win at home. I get a more stable coaching staff, a better run game, and right now, I just get a more disciplined team and a more disciplined defense. We could say what we want about the Raiders. They actually have a lot of talent in key positions. They have a star receiver. They have a good back. Their left tackle is serviceable.
Yeah.
They have a good edge rusher. They have the positions that you need to be scrappy, to be competitive. So I think they win at home here.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I really just don't trust the Brandon Staley factor of this game, especially if you're going to be missing Justin Herbert for possibly the rest of the season. That's the one piece of the team, the
only spot I like.
That's pulling your bad decisions. That's kind of attributing to wins every now and then.
It's the only thing I like about the team.
Yeah, without him, there's nothing to like for the Chargers. I'm taking the Raiders.
Yeah. Let's move to the Saturday games. We have 3 games on Saturday, NFL Network special. We'll start with the 1 o'clock game on Saturday, the Vikings at the Bengals. I think we're both going to go and take the Bengals here.
Yeah.
The Vikings, first of all, Josh Dobbs in concussion protocol. I don't mind Nick Mullins. If he's your third-string quarterback, you're fine. But I think Jake Browning right now is a backup, second-string quarterback, is playing better football. I don't trust a third-string guy to go on the road, pretty cold weather. I like the Bengals to go ahead and win here somewhat thoroughly. Would it surprise me if the Vikings keep it close? No, because at the end of the day, would it surprise me if Jake Browning came back down to earth a little bit? No, but I think as of right now, he's the better quarterback on a better team.
Yeah, I think the same things there. And plus, you have, I think, the better coaching staff, and we've talked about it recently.
I do like Kevin O'Connell, though.
I do like Kevin O'Connell, but the Bengals coaching staff has shown that they are very, very competent. They've gotten better. Zach Taylor is, I think he's very underrated. People don't talk about him when they talk about like the really good coaches in the league right now. What he's been able to do with Burrow and turning this entire franchise organization, giving them a culture and identity, something where now they're competing for AFC North titles on a yearly basis.
If they play their way into a playoff spot, I think he deserves discussion for Coach of the Year.
Yes, I don't think he gets it, but I think he's in the conversation.
Because that would mean they basically win out with Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, they lost the Steelers, but from 2 weeks ago, so that Jags game on, if they basically win out to get to the playoffs, I think he's in the discussion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Steelers at the Colts, we're both going to go and take the Colts. I just don't trust anything about Pittsburgh, especially if Trubisky's starting. Hell, even if Kenny Pickett's starting, I'm not sure I like it. I'll go ahead and take the better offensive staff. I'll take right now the better quarterback in Gardner Minshew to win against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there's rumblings of Mason Rudolph getting the start.
I'd be here for it.
Look,
just throwing that out there. I'm here for it.
No matter what quarterback starts in the black and gold, I'm not taking him this week. I've seen them disappoint against really bad teams now 2 weeks in a row. There's nothing that makes me feel good about taking them here. And we were talking about it. They probably lose out, but would it be the most Pittsburgh thing ever to like beat Baltimore on the road in the last game of the season?
Yeah.
So this is just not a spot where I like them. It's a very competitive Colts team who's also fighting for the same reasons that Pittsburgh is.
I feel like every time we go to Indy, it just doesn't look good. Like I feel like we always struggle at Indy. Broncos at the Lions, first split here. You're going to go and take the Lions. I think the Broncos right now are the better football team. You think I'm crazy? They started 1-5. They've now gone 6-1 in their last 7. That's a good football team. On the flip side, Detroit narrowly escaped the 1 week against Chicago. Then they lose to Green Bay, lose to Chicago again. They are on a little bit of a skid. I just don't trust right now their front 7. They've been getting run on, and we know Denver can run the football. I will take Denver to win on the road over Detroit.
Okay, I'm taking the Lions. I think at some point they have to start bouncing back, right? This team, we've seen them be built up now for the last, 2 years, 2.5 years. I like the way and the style that Dan Campbell has them play. It hasn't looked good over the last 3-4 weeks, but I think there is a point where that has to start turning around, and I don't fully trust Denver. Yes, they've looked better and they've been kind of catching a little bit of a hot streak, but streaks need to end. I think the cold streak for the Lions ends, and the hot streak for the Broncos ends all in the same week, right?
I think Detroit's going to Detroit. That's all. Let's go with Atlanta at Carolina. We'll both go and take Atlanta, the better football team. I don't like anything about Carolina. I don't like their quarterback. I don't like their coaching staff. I think Atlanta's a much better team.
Yeah, I agree. There's not much to be said here except for, it's bad when we're both taking Atlanta, and when we both agree that they are the better team in the matchup.
We almost never take Atlanta.
That shows you how bad Carolina is.
Yeah. Bears at the Browns. Browns are a better team. I just don't know who's blocking Myles Garrett. I just don't trust the Bears up front to keep Justin Fields upright. I like the Browns to win at home.
Yeah, I like the Browns as well. And the answer to your question, nobody is blocking Myles Garrett. I don't care who it is.
And Joe Flacco's playing well.
He is.
I think Joe Flacco's the better quarterback in this game.
If I would have told you that in 2023 you would have been saying that Joe Flacco is the better quarterback in an NFL game, what would you have said?
I'd tell you you're crazy. Yeah, wild. Let's go with the Giants traveling down to New Orleans. I think New Orleans is going to go ahead and win this football game. Tommy DeVito's a very good story. He's actually a very competent quarterback. He's not a good quarterback, though. I worry about him going on the road to that environment. That's a tough environment and a good defense, especially in the secondary. I'll take the Saints to win.
Yeah, Saints here. I think DeVito is good. I think he will end up being pretty average this year. I just don't think this is a game where he comes out and shows out against the Saints in that secondary.
They've won 3 straight. Like you said, every streak's got to come to an end. I just don't see this getting to 4 straight.
Fair.
Chiefs at the Patriots. Big bounce back spot for the Chiefs here. I'll take them to win. I wouldn't be surprised if it stays close. It's going to be in Foxborough, cold, maybe some snow on the horizon. Running the football, low-scoring game. We know New England's defense is legit, and so is Kansas City's. I think it feels very 13-6, 17-6 type of game, close. gritty game. I'll take the Chiefs to bounce back, though.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs. I just don't. I agree with you on the whole being close thing. I don't trust the receivers, any offensive pieces to really do anything that crazy. We haven't seen.
I just don't know who's catching the ball. Who's making consistent plays for Patrick Mahomes?
Nobody.
Even if you say Travis Kelce, he limps like 3 times a half. You know.
So that worries me a little bit, but I do like the Chiefs here.
All right, Bucks at the Packers. Going to go and take the Packers. They're at home. I get the better quarterback. I definitely get a better coaching staff. Matt LaFleur is fantastic. They're going to run the football a little bit. I know the Bucks have a decent defense, but I'll take Green Bay to win.
Yeah, Green Bay here. They've actually been playing pretty well.
Also, warm weather team coming up to cold Lambeau. Don't feel great about that.
In the middle of December?
Yeah, it doesn't bode well for the Bucks. Texans at the Titans. I just don't know. We don't know about C.J. Stroud. He's in concussion protocol. Leaning towards he's going to play, but who knows? If he plays, I'd maybe lean the Texans. You know what? I think even if he doesn't play, I'm going to go ahead and lean Texans. I just don't see the consistency with Tennessee.
The Will Levis thing confuses me.
They go out and play really well against Miami. Would it shock you at all to come back home and kind of have a little bit of a letdown spot in a divisional game? Tough defensive coach DeMeco Ryans. He's going to have his guys ready to play, especially off of a bad loss against Zach Wilson. That defense is going to have their hair on fire.
Yeah, I like the Texans here. And just what you said, I don't trust Will Levis at all. The Titans team is so hit or miss. I can't bank on that, and I can't predict that when there's no trend to show me.
One week he looks like baby Josh Allen. Next week he looks like Jay Cutler. I just don't know what to get.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting. Let's go with the Jets at the Dolphins. Dolphins in a huge bounce-back spot. Tyreek will be back. Maybe not 100%. I think he'll be back, though. I like the Dolphins to go ahead and win. We said, what are the odds Zach Wilson strings together 2 straight really nice football games?
Very, very
Very
low.
slim. He hasn't done that since BYU.
Yeah, Dolphins. That's the side.
Yeah. It's almost unfair to ask him to play consistent NFL quarterback when we know he can't do consistent NFL quarterback things.
Yeah.
Niners at the Cardinals. Niners are a better football team. I worry with a divisional game if it stays close, but I do think Brock Purdy, I get the better quarterback, better coach, better roster, clean sweep, Niners.
Yeah, same thought process there. Way better coach, way better roster. But the divisional thing worries me a little bit on betting taking the 49ers
13 and a half is a lot of points.
That is a lot of points.
Commanders at the Rams. Rams can run the football. They can compete with basically anybody in the league when they run the football well.
Yeah.
If Kyron Williams is healthy and that offensive line's playing well, which they have been, they can play with anybody in the league. And we know the Commanders aren't any. They're a nobody in the league. So I think the Rams win comfortably at home.
100%.
No disagreements over there. Okay, another split here. Cowboys at the Bills. The Bills played well for me this past week. I'm going to go ahead and take them again. The Cowboys are coming off a very, very physical game. I know that the Bills also had an emotional game, but there's just something different about playing the Eagles, especially at home, divisional game. Right, that's a lot of energy. Buffalo comes back home. Same idea. We get an indoor team traveling north to Buffalo in mid-December. I think Buffalo wins. It's going to be close. I'll take them by a field goal. I think it's going to be a game for the ages. Kind of going to remind me of that Minnesota at Buffalo game from last year when Minnesota barely squeaked one out because of that fumble at the goal line. Mm-hmm. I just think Buffalo comes out on the right side this time. Entertaining game of the week level game. I'll take Buffalo to win close.
Yeah, I was going to say this is our game of the week, so I don't want to step all over it too much here, but I do. At the end of the day, I like the Dallas side. I love the Dallas
I think they're a better
side.
football team going forward. I think it's just a tough spot.
It is, and that's why it's game of the week material, because it's, I don't want to say a coin flip game, because I feel fairly confident in Dak and the Cowboys at this point, but this is going to be a matchup.
It's pretty close to a coin flip game. It's 2.5. It's almost a pick 'em. So, all right, Ravens at the Jaguars. Both going to go ahead and take the Ravens. Better football team. The Jags. Trevor Lawrence still isn't fully healthy. The offensive line hasn't been playing well. He's been getting sacked a bunch. I'll take the Ravens to win. They have one of the best pass rushers in football, so there's a mismatch there. Ravens win.
Yeah, I like the Ravens here as well, and it wouldn't shock me if this was pretty lopsided.
Plus, there's no home field advantage in Jacksonville. None. None.
No.
Eagles at the Seahawks. Final split of the week here. I'm riding with Seattle. I think they're undervalued at 6-7.
Wow.
The last 2 weeks we've seen them, they've been scrappy. First of all, Geno Smith healthy. They hang 35 on Dallas. I saw the Eagles hang a whopping 6 offensive points against Dallas. I think Seattle's going to be able to score. I don't know if Geno's going to be fully back. He was a game-time decision this past week, so I would imagine with an extra week of rest, longer week because it's a Monday game, he's going to be a go. I think they're going to run the football. We've seen Philly get got in the run game. I know it's weird because their front seven is the strength of their team. I saw San Francisco run all over them. power run game with Seattle. They're going to win this football game at home. Eagles coming off a rough stretch of football. Seattle over Philly.
The Bird Bowl, huh? I'm taking the
Bird
Eagles.
Bowl.
I'm taking the Eagles.
Just because they're a better team, better roster?
Better team, better roster,
I think
better
it's
coach.
fair. I think it's very fair. This is the game I feel least good about, but I still feel pretty decent about it.
I was surprised when you
I
picked
still
this
feel
one.
pretty good about it, though. I don't know.
I was surprised.
It's a tough spot for Philly.
All right, what are the splits?
I got Seattle. You have Philly. I'll take the Bills. You have the Cowboys. Then on Saturday, I'm going to go ahead and take the Broncos. You're taking the Lions.
Perfect.
I feel good about it. Let's go ahead and get into bets on a budget. Ton of lines that we like here. We have a couple Saturday games and 3 Sunday games. 4 favorites, 1 dog. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Of course, sponsored by SoBet. Make sure you go over there, check everything out. The SoBet app, go download it, and sign up. When you do, use code THEISSUE. We would really appreciate it. Get all your advice and all the expert knowledge over there when you're throwing your bet slips together for the week, especially as we near the playoffs. It's going to be all
money-making
the more
time.
important. Yeah, especially with these big matchups, because there's a lot of smaller, minute things that you have to look at. So go download the SoBet app. Like I said, code THEISSUE when you sign up.
Yep. Let's start here. Indianapolis minus 2.5 versus Pittsburgh. So value-wise, I get the hook on my side at 2.5, right? So Indy could win on a last-second field goal and go ahead and win this football game by the 3. Of course, if it's tied, right? Last-second field goal. To me, it feels kind of like a field goal to like a 6-point game, somewhere in that region right there, and I think Indy comes out on top. I don't trust Pittsburgh's offense. I just don't. And with Shane Steichen and Gardner Minshew, this has been a very, very good offensive team. I'll take Indianapolis minus the 2.5.
Yeah, I like Indy here. It's definitely the side, and I don't trust Pittsburgh's offense to put up any points. Really, here. It's going to be
It feels like a
negligible.
21-13 type of game. 21-16, somewhere in that region.
13 and 16, that's very generous.
Yeah, that's a lot of points for
Pittsburgh. I don't see it really going all that well for the Steelers. I think the Colts will kind of have their way here. Love this bet.
Denver +5 at Detroit. You're taking Detroit to win. I think Denver could win outright, but the +5's a lot of points.
I was going to say, I love this +5.
Yes. Since 7 weeks, since week 7, Denver has had the most takeaways in the league on defense. They're letting up under, I think it's 16 a game, and they've been running the football better than almost anybody in football. And outside of that Houston game, Russell Wilson takes care of the ball. It's been critical, and Detroit in the last 4 weeks has kind of fallen back a little bit. They've turned the football over. Fumbles have been a big problem. Field goals, red zone issues have followed as well. I think Denver is a better team. I think they run the football better. Detroit, yes, will finish with a better record. Yes, Detroit is maybe borderline more scary in the playoffs because of their offensive firepower. Their defense is bad. Denver can run the football. We can argue who wins, but 5 is too many points. I'll take Denver plus the points.
Yeah, like I said in predictions, I like the Lions to win here, but I absolutely love this game to stay really close.
Yeah,
I'm talking like
field goal type game.
Field goal down to the last point or 2 points.
Whoever gets the ball last type of game.
Yeah.
The Rams -6.5 versus Washington. When's the last time Washington's kept it close versus a good team not named Philly? And Philly has every game that's close, right? Anytime they play a really good team that's not Philadelphia, Dallas throttles them. Who killed them a couple weeks ago? I'm blanking, but they got throttled right before the bye week.
The Bills.
The Bills. Well, that was earlier in the season. There was another team. Doesn't matter. Off a bye, I don't think it matters. Off of a bye for offensive coaches matters a ton. Off a bye for defensive coach Ron Rivera does not matter as much. Sam Howell's going to be overwhelmed by the Aaron Donald pass rush. I will take the Rams to win and cover. Feels like a 27-19 game.
Yeah, this is going to be one that we were looking through. They've always, the Commanders have always been like just losing by 7.
Yeah, always lose by 7 or more. Closer to 30 a couple times.
And against a very, very good offensive coach and a genius in Sean McVay. Yeah.
All right, number 4 here, Miami -9. Depending on where you find it, you may find it at 9.5. There's a lot of money coming in on Miami, so that line's getting bet up. Versus the New York Jets. Again, I just don't trust Zach Wilson. And Miami blows out bad teams. I know that they lost against Tennessee. That does not happen often when they lose against bad teams. They almost always throttle them. Divisional matchup, so they know exactly what they're getting. Mike McDaniel's a very good offensive coach. He knows what he's going to get versus the Jets, and he's going to know how to beat it. Tyreek will be back and mostly healthy, I'll take Miami minus the 9.
Plus, you just have to know that Miami's coming out with a fire under their ass after losing like that to Tennessee. Like, they are coming out to curb stomp somebody.
Couldn't agree more.
The Jets are in their way.
Yep, couldn't agree more. And Miami at home's been a lot better for team, too.
Yeah.
Baltimore minus 3.5 at Jacksonville. This is one of those gut plays where it's like Lamar just feels like he's going to go off a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's in Jacksonville. Weather will be nice. It just feels like a Lamar Jackson game.
Yeah, and
it's almost like a gut play. It's a visceral gut feeling type of play here.
Yeah.
Because the value's on Jacksonville at 3.5 because you get the hook on Jacksonville's side there. In a close game versus two good teams in the AFC, the hook is on Jacksonville's side. It just feels like a gut play for Baltimore to win like a 27-23 game. We get the narrow cover.
And we've said it at various points throughout the season. Jacksonville doesn't impress me. Like, I don't...
No, when they beat Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh, I was not impressed.
They have, on paper, a great roster, and they do have a really good roster with good key playmakers. But they just don't do anything that makes me look at it and say, wow. You know what I mean? Like, there's
especially when Trevor Lawrence isn't fully healthy.
There is zero wow factor to this team. But then you look at it on the flip side, and Baltimore is just absolutely running through teams right now. So,
yep, couldn't agree. Let's go run back through those bets. We got Indy minus 2.5 versus Pittsburgh. Denver plus 5 at Detroit. The Rams minus 6.5 versus Washington. Miami minus 9 versus the Jets. And finally, Baltimore minus the 3.5 at Jacksonville. We got 4 favorites and a dog this week.
All right, yeah. Usually we ride with a little more of the underdog train, but you know what? We haven't had a 5-0 week yet. So you gotta
feels 5-0.
Gotta adjust.
Feels 5-0.
Gotta change things as needed. Try to get that 5-0 or 4-1. I'd be happy with just something to get us to that sharp line. We've been chasing it since we had it in week like 6 or 7, something like that.
Yep.
So we've been pretty close. We're gonna get it by the end of the season. We got 4 more weeks of bets on a budget left.
Yep.
That is crazy.
With 15, 16, 17, 18, yeah. It's wild.
Sad.
This one and 3 more.
So we're going to start the winning ways here with a 5-0 week.
Love it.
Guys, make sure you come back for the third segment. We got the news, and we have our game of the week, which, of course, is Dallas and Buffalo. You're not going to want to miss that one. Here we go, third segment of the issue. Thursday.
Sound like Dak there for a second.
Yeah, I know. I heard that.
Here we go. I loved it, though. I love it.
It's just becoming... It's becoming to the point, like, it's every snap. It's the Omaha.
No, it's every snap.
It's the Omaha.
Well, the point, like, and I think it was, who was it? No, it wasn't it was Collinsworth. No. Who's on the Sunday night game? It was Collinsworth and Al Michaels, right? Collinsworth is talking about it. It's to basically let everybody know, all right, I'm done with the audibles. Like, let's go. Like, basically, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Here's the play.
Doesn't set work for that, too?
Yeah.
It's just like his own take on it. I
guess. It's his own take. I like it. I'm a fan.
Either way,
it's got some rhythm to it. It's not just here we go. Here we go. It's got some rhythm.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's his thing for sure.
Some pizzazz.
Either way, we have the news and we have the game of the week in this segment, which is, funny enough, a game that Dak will be a part of. Bills and the Cowboys. I feel like the most captivating game of the week. The one that stuck out the most to us. So, guys. Make sure you go to theissuesports.com, check out everything we got over there, sign up for the newsletter. We have a wealth of information over there, as well as all the social media links, different platforms that you can find the show. So go check all that stuff out. Follow us, subscribe. We really appreciate it. But like I said, we're going to start with the news. We got 3 stories. We're going to do it a little bit different this week. I'm going to read you the stories, kind of pose a question, get your take on some of these, because it's all-encompassing. It's all-encompassing this week.
I love it. We got a little bit of everything.
We got a story from let's just start off with the college football one.
All right.
Notre Dame quarterback Sam Hartman will not play in the bowl game against Oregon State, and neither will Oregon State's quarterback. So,
he's transferring you, DJU.
Yeah, so you just... I don't know what to think about this. I have my own opinion on it. I want to hear yours first. What do you think about quarterbacks and just players in general not playing in the bowl game and opting out?
I would prefer they play, right? I would prefer you finish out the season. Like Bo Nix, for example, had playoff aspirations. Arguably could have been there, right? That win against Washington in the Pac-12 championship. All they have to do is win that game, and they're in. And so for their season to kind of end in a heartbreaking fashion, to lose the Pac-12 championship, not get to the playoff, he had every reason to want to sit out that game and he's playing. And for me, I think that's important. But I'm not sure it doesn't bother me to sit out. If I have millions of dollars on the other side, of the NFL draft, maybe Hartman, not too much money. He'll probably be like a second, third round pick. A couple $1,000,000. Yeah, absolutely. I think sitting out's fine. But I'd prefer my quarterback play. I prefer the Bo Nix route. Play, make yourself look good. Give the scouts one lasting memory of you being great. Justin Herbert in that Rose Bowl was unbelievable against Wisconsin. Had no reason to play. I mean, it's the Rose Bowl, so you want to play because it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. But I think that's what got him drafted as high as he did, right? He looked spectacular in that Rose Bowl, and you were like, oh, that's different. That moved him up a couple spots. I think that the same could be said for these other fringe guys, Bo Nix, Sam Hartman. I prefer they play.
Yeah, I get it more from I understand it from the business perspective where it's like you may not want to risk injury and you want the maximum signing bonus that you can come draft time. I get that. But from the, I guess, character perspective, these athletes should be playing in there. If you're on the team, if you are rostered as a part of this team and this team has a game, you
should play.
You are playing.
You're
the quarterback of the team. You've trained with them for the entire offseason and then all season long, you just don't bail on your guys like that. So I'm not a big fan of them sitting out, especially when you're more of a fringe guy anyway. Use this as an opportunity to play your way up a pick or two.
I would tend to agree.
Anyway, story number 2, the Dodgers are favored to win the World Series this year. No surprise
Shocker,
as it comes to Shohei Ohtani. So what do you expect from them? Do you think they kind of run away with it? I mean, because they've had pretty high aspirations in the past and then kind of...
it kind of fell flat a little bit, right? They had that one World Series, but that was the COVID year they won the World Series, so things were a little bit different.
Yeah.
I guess what do I expect?
Season outlook for the Dodgers.
I certainly expect them to be in the National League Championships. I expect them to make the NLCS. They should be one of the last 4 standing. If they're not, I think that's a letdown. I think that is the bar for them to hit. But I don't think they'll win the World Series this year. Do I think they will within the next 3 years? I do. Yeah, I do. I think there's just so much talent. And they're going to continue to have a bunch of money. So it wouldn't surprise me if in a year or two, if this still isn't working, for them to go out and get another player for a really expensive contract. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Who do I expect to win it? I think, keep your eye on Toronto. I think that's my dark horse pick.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on Toronto. They got a lot of young guys that are getting better. Vlad, Bo Bichette, etc. George Springer, the veteran there. Pitching's getting better. Why I don't think the Dodgers win the World Series? I don't think they have the pitching to do so. But I think they're going to be a really good team. Should be one of the last 4 standing. Maybe they make the World Series, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right, fair enough. So we've hit a college football story. We've had an MLB story. This one, story number 3 in the NHL. We got the Penguins on a 5-game losing streak. They're 11-12-3. They're 7th in the Metro. They're 14 points out of first place, which is 7 games.
That's a lot.
They're digging themselves a pretty deep hole. So there's a lot to look at. Wanted to discuss it. What's step 1? Do you fire the coach first? Do you get rid of the dead weight first? Do you go and look to try to get younger? Because as of right now, by the numbers, they're the oldest team in the NHL. So how do you want to play it? But average,
I believe it. Well, I think the
average age.
Yes. I mean, the core 3 really brings that up a little bit. Crosby, Malkin, and Letang.
Yeah.
But I mean, Crosby and Malkin are both playing at really high levels this year, which is also weird because it's Dubas made all these rosters, kind of cleaned up the edge of the roster, and the centerpieces are playing better than they have in the last couple of years, and we're still losing.
Yeah.
The goaltending has been disappointing. The defense has been disappointing. It's like they can't put together a full game. They'll either lose 1-0, or they'll score a bunch of goals, but they'll hemorrhage them. They'll lose 6-5. So it's like whenever our offense is on, our defense sucks. Whenever our defense is playing well, our offense can't find twine. So it's...
where do you go?
Yeah, step 1, I wouldn't fire the coach. I don't think it's time to fire the coach yet. I think relax. First year with Kyle Dubas as the GM. Let it bake, let it marinate a little bit. Look, him and Sullivan are still working things out. I'm sure Sullivan has a way that he wants his roster constructed. Yep. I'm sure Dubas has a way he wants his roster constructed. I'm sure there's similarities. There's probably also differences, and they need to kind of work those out. I'd say give him another year, give him another free agency period, and go from there. Now, if we're in one full calendar year from now, and we're talking they're 9-5 14 next year, after they have their second free agency period and a whole year to kind of let it bake, and it's still bad, then we look at firing the coach. I think this year would be too soon.
Okay, so you're saying look more at the dead weight in the players before you turn.
They've been the most consistently good Pittsburgh franchise, I would argue, in the last 10 years, because we know, because they've won cups, they've been consistently in the thick of the playoff race.
Yeah.
Yes, the Steelers don't lose. They don't have losing seasons, but they don't get anywhere past the first round of playoffs if they even get there over the last 5 to 6 seasons. So just take a deep breath. Everybody wants to kind of pressure cook the Penguins' success because they've been so good recently. Let it bake a little bit. Let them be about 500 for a season. So who cares?
Yeah, rebuild a little bit. I mean,
yeah, rebuild, retool a little.
It's just the style of hockey to me has definitely shifted a little bit. I think when Sullivan was first hired in the middle of that season, when they were kind of on that downward slide, he did a good job at bringing like a fresh take, a fresh look into the league where it's, hey, I know it's all about size and like dominance right now, but we're going to get like the smallest guys we possibly can and play fast hockey.
Hagelin, Bonino, Connor Sheary.
You find guys that are fast, that have high hockey IQs, and you go win that way. It's starting to shift away from that. So like the Penguins kind of brought that into the league as the norm, and now it's starting to move away. So he needs to be able to, I guess, adapt to that as it moves, or at least find the next strategy to win.
Yeah, I would agree.
Anyway, that's the news. Those are all 3 stories.
Perfect. I like it, mixing it up.
Yeah.
Variety here on the issue.
We do so much football throughout the entire show. It's refreshing. It feels good to kind of take a step away from the NFL for a while. Talk a little bit of college football, a little baseball, a little hockey.
Yeah, the hockey. I guess the one thing I wanted to say, the Penguins, why do they feel kind of like the Steelers? Like, I feel like every time they're up 2 goals, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, we're not winning this game.
Yeah.
I know the 2-0 lead in hockey is the least safe lead in sports. So, like, I get that.
Don't even talk to me about that.
Yeah, that was bad. That was rough.
That was a tough live bet.
Yeah.
When you started out.
But, I mean, seriously, it seems like you're watching, and you can just see it when the momentum turns, like, oh, the Penguins are losing this game.
Yeah.
They're like, but they're up 3 goals. You're like, yeah, no, just wait. And then next thing you know, 2 goals in 3.5 minutes, and then it's it. So.
It reminded me of the Steelers too, or I guess the Penguins. They had that stretch there where they were losing in the first round of the playoffs for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, it was like every single year we'd go in and we'd either lose to the Rangers or the
Islanders
first.
God, that was brutal.
It'd be in like a 6-game series. They'd beat us.
Yeah.
We'd win the first one. There would be so much hope.
And we'd go back to New York, drop them both. Yep.
Yeah,
of course.
Anyway, we're gonna now move into game of the week. This one of the best segments on the show here, one of the favorites throughout the season. We have the Bills and the Cowboys this week. Let's go.
So, this is interesting because for 2 reasons. One, if Dallas wins out, which I think is very possible, yes, I picked Buffalo, and we'll get to that in a second, but if Dallas wins out, they could very well find themselves winning the division and as the 1 seed in the NFC. Now, granted, they would need the Niners to lose a game. Certainly possible. But either way, they could play themselves into a division win, which means they host a playoff game. Much different than having to go on the road for Wild Card Weekend. Good news for Dallas, even if they don't win the division, they'll be the 5 seed. They'll play the 4 seed. We know that's going to be the NFC South team. They suck. They'll go to Atlanta or Tampa Bay and throttle them, so that's not a problem. It's just another hurdle, which I think Dallas is good. I think they're a Super Bowl contender. I don't know if they can go on the road 3 times to get to the Super Bowl. I think they need to host at least 1 playoff game, if not 2. So I think it's important for Dallas. And, of course, it's important for Buffalo because what's their season? They have to win out. They have to win out. They're 7-6 right now. Maybe at 10-7 they sneak in, but I don't think so. I think you're going to have to be 11-6 to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, the AFC is hyper competitive. So, I mean, you're going to have to.
Especially because they don't have a lot of tiebreakers. Like, they are close to last in terms of tiebreakers between all the 7-6 teams right now.
Yeah.
Like, so there's Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Houston, Denver, Buffalo, and I think and Cincinnati. And it's Cincinnati and Buffalo, the 2 at the bottom, given all the tiebreakers.
And
so
they're rooting for the Steelers and the Colts to both beat each other this week.
Just they're hoping for a tie or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if I had to give it like how I think this game's going to go, I think it's going to be cold. I think it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to go 21-17 Buffalo. I think it's going to be windy, snowy. I think it's going to be run game type game. I'll take Buffalo to win narrowly. What's your outlook on the game before we get to the keys to victory?
I like the Cowboys. I just think there's too much talent, and this team is playing too well right now to go in and lose to the Bills. We know we're going to see mistakes from Josh Allen. He always throws the pick. He always turns the ball over at least the 1 to 2 times a game.
9 straight games with a pick.
It's just, when's it going to happen? And what time is it going to screw them, basically? And the Cowboys have a really good defense on top of it. So can they bait their way into maybe 2 picks? Maybe 2 picks and a fumble. I just see this is going to be a sloppy game from the Bills. We've seen them play sloppy all year. Don't let the 1 to 2 to 3 games that they've looked really good and dominant in kind of cloud your memory a little bit. Yes, they're starting to get some things together, but they almost just lost to the Chiefs, who dropped the ball about 8 times. So I don't know. This game is so close. How
about a score prediction?
I'm riding. We'll do that at the end.
Okay.
I'm riding with the Cowboys and just that streak that they're on. They have more talent. I'm purely based off of talent here.
Fair enough. All right, let's go with the keys to victory. Let's start with the Buffalo offense. They are the underdog, or actually, I guess they're technically betting favorites, which is a little bit wild. I think they're the public underdog. Buffalo offense, I would say consistency. We know that they have the splash playability. Actually, this year, that's the problem, though, is they haven't been throwing the ball down the field. But we know they have the ability to drop 40 anytime on the field. They have the talent to do so. Josh Allen's a freak of nature. Stephon Diggs is still a top 10 receiver, and they have a decent running back room. It's the consistency. They have to maintain drives. It seems like they always get to about the 30, 35-yard line, and it just stalls. Like, especially when was that? Sunday night. They, on the other side of the 2-minute warning, why are you throwing the ball 3 straight times?
Yeah,
run the football. They ran the football well to get down the field, and then when you want to run the clock out, you start throwing the ball, right? Consistency. Run the ball, all right? So Buffalo offense, consistency is the key to victory. Buffalo defense, Dak. You got to get to Dak. If you don't and he stays upright, you're screwed. You're just screwed. They have injuries in the secondary, so if you're going to rely on those guys to cover for 4, 5, 6 seconds, you stand no chance. Dak is really good with time to throw, really good with a clean pocket. If you can get to Dak Prescott, because he's mobile, but he's not as mobile as he once was. A couple of injuries, that lower leg injury a couple years ago has slowed him down a step. If you can get to Dak, he's not going to get out and make a ton of plays with the legs. Enough plays sometimes, but he's not going to hurt you with his legs. Get to Dak, keep him in the pocket, and sack the quarterback.
I like it.
Okay, Dallas offense. Find that tight end Ferguson. I'll tell you what, he has emerged. He's a really nice target.
Yeah, he's been pretty good.
He's a really nice target. And that's kind of where your matchup, that's where it lies. Matt Milano, obviously hurt for Buffalo, out for the year. Tremaine Edmonds not there anymore. He's in Chicago. They paid him big this offseason. They're on to like the 4th string linebacker on one side and the 2nd string linebacker on the other side. Like, they just don't have the depth of talent. So that's especially at linebacker and at safety. Micah Hyde got hurt last game. That's where your mismatch is going to be with that Ferguson, that tight end. He's emerging as a top 10 tight end in the league. Maybe even better.
Yeah, he's been good.
Dallas defense, stay aggressive. You already mentioned Josh Allen's picks. Deron Bland leads the league and set an NFL record with 5 pick sixes. He's got, 8 picks this year? We know that he is a beast and a ball hawk. And Stephon Gilmore is still a really, really high-end corner. He locked up A.J. Brown. Stay aggressive. That's the nature of the Dallas defense. So if you can stay aggressive, get picks, maybe Deron Bland finds pay dirt again for a 6th pick 6. That'd be insane. But that's the key to victory for Dallas. Again, I will take Buffalo. I'm going to go 21-17 Buffalo win.
Okay. I'm going to go in 24-21. Dallas.
All right. Fair enough.
I think it's
So we both have
close.
Buffalo scoring 21. You just have an extra touchdown for Dallas there at the end.
I think when it comes down to it, I have to stick with the talent. And this Dallas team is picking up steam at the right at the right time.
That's true. They are peaking.
They are.
I think right now there's an argument for best team in football. It's them in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I just think it's a tough spot for them. I think
Look, I don't want to be that guy because I've said it too many times. I can't see, I'm not going to believe the Dallas hype until I see it, right? I'm not going to believe that it's their year.
Sounds like you're believing it.
But I'm pretty close to believing it.
It sounds like you're believing it. I'm willing to admit that they are a top 2 team in football.
So they get into the playoffs, they start rolling.
Can they win the NFC? Absolutely, I think they can win the NFC.
Yeah. And that's
100%. I think it's in play.
And I think they have enough talent, and I think this is going to be telling. Can you go on the road and beat a really good AFC team?
We're going to find out, aren't we? They're a
good team.
Really good, makes mistakes.
With a
too many mistakes.
quarterback.
Yes, star quarterback on the road, especially in a tough environment. That's the thing.
Yeah. All right. That is all we have for you guys today. Thanks for sticking around. Make sure you go to theissuesports.com, check out everything that we have over there, and then follow the show on all the different links, all the social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, SoBet. Go sign up for that. Use code TheIssue when you do, and then hit us with the follow. We're posting all the time over there. A lot of good experts posting all the time. You will not be disappointed. So go sign up for SoBet. Guys, we will catch you back here next Thursday, and that was The Issue.